Welcome to another Modern Mind Ancient Book where we're going back to move forward. We're finding a love for the law, the prophets, and the writings. Please join us at modernmindancientbook.org. We now have a website. Please go there, check it out, search around, click some things. Tell us what you think. There's a contact page on there. If you'd like to reach out to us via email, modernmindancientbook@gmail.com. You can find us wherever podcasts are podcasting, and you can also find us on YouTube. The page on YouTube is growing quite a bit. We've got an Instagram, and we've got an X. So, we're out there, we're doing our thing. We're inviting you along with us, journey into and through the Bible, trying to look at it through an ancient lens. We want to restore the eyes of the past and bring it through the entire Bible. Interpreting the Bible by who, Pete?
By the modern mind.
Yeah, by Jesus.
By Jesus.
Right? So what we're doing is we are going back to move forward. We're taking Jesus back into the text that he wrote.
Yeah.
Since he's God, right? So, and it adds significant meaning. There's a lot of opinions out there, but Jesus doesn't have opinions. He has truth.
Right.
And we can see a lot if we listen, learn, and understand from him, and then take it back and go into those texts. And so,
absolute truth, not my truth, your truth.
Well, God is by definition the truth.
Right.
And we're what is it? A creeping shadow.
Yes.
We have ideas. We're trying. But today we're in the New Testament. Well, first, my name's Roger. I'll be your host. Pete is with us.
Yes.
Pete, welcome.
Good morning.
And sorry for the disjointed start there. We're going to be doing the book of Hebrews in the New Testament.
Yes.
Highly theological work. And quite interesting because whatever the date is of this, and we believe it's early, it talks about that Jesus and his testimony and his covenant is greater than even that of angels.
Right.
And then that, oddly, is what came after with Islam.
Right.
And changed a lot of things and causes a lot of problems in the world today. And so, we've got a God-man that intervened in the world.
Yes. And
a theological work. And through, presumably, an unknown author, we'll get to that in a little bit, we get a highly Jewish work in the Christian world.
But this set apart Christianity from Judaism, really. With this, that this is greater
well,
than
because the new
founding fathers.
the new covenant was always going to be more.
Oh yeah,
but that's in Jeremiah, so it doesn't set us apart from Jewish people.
No, but it makes it makes us defined it more. That was
that's right. I mean, this is kind of the David of the New Testament, if you will. Right? There's a heavy focus on defining what theology is necessary, important, and right for the people. So, we'll kind of break down the parts here. So it's superior to the angels. It's superior to Moses.
Yes.
It's the rest of God. It's the Shabbat, the fulfillment of the Sabbath. It's superior to the Levites, Aaron, and the Old Covenant.
Yes.
It's faith assurance. It's discipline and sanctified.
Right.
And you are to obey your leaders, and then a prayer goodbye.
Right.
So, I go back to the commandment, honor your mother and father.
Right.
Was that about honoring people who would hurt and destroy you and sell you to, or whatever? No. It was about honoring people that taught you about God.
Right.
And believing what they believed and following what they followed in. And so, that's what the kind of obey your leaders is. It's like honor your mother and father. Honor these people who are pouring themselves out to teach you this way. And it was called the Way.
Yes.
The Way of the Nazarenes. Sect of Judaism. So the earliest manuscripts of this epistle has been designated to the Hebrews.
Right.
This identification, as well as the nature and content of the epistle, has maintained the traditional title of Hebrews. The epistle is written to Hebrews by a Hebrew, telling them to stop being Hebrews. I disagree with that.
That's it.
I totally disagree with that. I think it says, you Hebrews understand the Torah.
Right.
And now you understand that Jesus was the fulfillment of that. Because if this were to tell Hebrews to stop being Hebrews, and again, this work is by Dr. John McClain. He was my professor for my undergrad, PhD holder, wonderful man. But also, this is a theological statement.
Right.
Because, so, the problem the church has is that we believe that we're right.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're willing to make our theology about being correct, not on what Jesus said. Because he said that if you keep the law, the Torah, in Matthew 5, the manifesto for Christianity is the Beatitudes in Matthew 5. And it comes directly from Jesus.
Right.
And Jesus said, if you keep the law, you'll be great in the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
But if you annul even the smallest commandment, you'll be least in the kingdom of heaven. So Jewish people didn't have to stop being Jewish.
No.
They had to stop practicing a tainted version of Judaism in favor of the purified Judaism of Jesus. That's my argument. So, we're dealing with a guy who had a theology, and this is a clear theological statement. And in my mind, it was wrong.
Right.
This book is not about Hebrews stopping being Hebrews.
No.
It's about them seeing the greater significance of Jesus in the context of the new covenant. Right?
It's about building on the foundation of the Old Testament.
Yeah, not throwing it away.
Not throwing it away.
Yeah, interesting statement there. I hadn't caught that before this moment. The authorship of Hebrews is one of the more debated issues for this epistle. Many candidates have been proposed: Paul, Luke, Barnabas, Apollos, Priscilla, Aquila, Clement of Rome. The identification of the author does not change the interpretation of the epistle.
Right.
So whoever wrote it doesn't matter.
No.
Right? The content stands on its own.
Right.
And that's fair.
Oh, yeah.
The question is what's the date, right?
Right.
So Pauline authorship has been the strongest argument, but it also has objections.
Right.
So, this sounds like a Pharisee turned Christian to me, right? There's a lot in there. And Judaism in the first century, that's called Second Temple Judaism, was a form of Judaism that evolved out of the Babylonian captivity.
Right.
It was a Judaism full of fear for paying the price of not keeping the law.
Right.
And those people began, in numbers, they were already radical. Right?
Yes.
So, people have a desire to be righteous by their own accord and take righteous actions.
Right.
And that's the image of God, but it's a tainted image of God. Because you don't kill people.
Yeah.
That
ain't right.
No, when Cain and Abel had their scuffle and Cain murdered Abel, God didn't kill Cain.
No.
He put a mark on him and sent him out so that he wouldn't be killed.
Right.
When Jesus was on the cross and he was being taunted and treated very poorly after having been scourged so much he didn't even look like a man, he said, "Father, forgive them, they know not what they do."
Right.
The God of heaven and earth is the God of the Torah.
Right.
But the righteousness of man is not from God.
No.
Righteousness comes from heaven.
Right.
The people were fed in the wilderness by the bread of heaven, and the people were fed spiritually by Jesus, the bread from heaven.
Right.
So life is found in God, not in violence.
Right. Well, if you ever thought the Roman soldiers thought they were being righteous by crucifying Jesus?
Oh, 1,000,000%. Because they were supporting the supremacy of their worldview and punishing those who threatened it.
Right.
That's the fall.
Yes.
That's not God's world.
Right.
God is life, and life everlasting. He can have a long-suffering role because he doesn't ever die.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're so temporal, we think that we have to get the offender away.
Yeah, we look at 100 years, his eternity.
Yeah, I can't live with this evil for 50 years.
Right.
God's like, 50 years? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so, it's interesting to me that. So, in the earliest text of Hebrews that's come down to us, in the earliest manuscript that we have is from 3rd century.
Right.
So 200 AD. Right. Super early.
Yes.
In terms of writings, right? Like,
yes.
This document is not in question as to, is it a Christian document? Does it have roots to Christianity? Right. That is not in question.
No.
The, some of the greatest documents in the world that we call truth have not even close to the amount of corroborating evidence that these documents have. So, so earliest document we have is around the 3rd century. This undoubtedly reflects the conviction of the Eastern Church. So the Eastern Church is the Constantine Church.
Right.
The church that evolved around Constantine.
Right.
And, it has a long-running tradition. And all these churches, the Roman Church, the Eastern Church, they claim like apostolic...
Right.
What's it called? Apostolic authority.
Authority.
Right? So, they claim apostolic authority, and they've done a pretty good job of keeping documents and stuff. And so that's why we have this. We'll get into the authority stuff a little bit later. Let's stick to this so we don't spend the whole rest of this talking about authority. But, the early church fathers debated this from Eusebius, Origen, etc. and on and on. But the thing is it was definitely early enough. Right, to be understood that it might have been Paul.
Right.
And Paul had the time, being in prison
to write this.
Right? Yes. And if this was written around 68, it would have been kind of his crowning achievement.
Right.
Because he was beheaded by Nero.
Right.
And so, Nero did all that in about 64. Now, Nero was a very violent and nasty antichrist.
Right.
But it didn't matter because it made the church grow.
Right.
But I think it's also a shocker to Christians to know.
Just to know, Roger, he was an antichrist, not the antichrist.
Well, it depends on if you're preterist or not.
That's
it. Theology will take you down all kinds of roads.
Yes.
But no, I mean, I think, so in my theology, I teeter on this. I don't know, God is bigger.
Right.
Right? Because all through time, the early church thought Jesus was coming imminent.
Oh, yeah.
And they probably saw Nero as the Antichrist. Right? Because he was an oppressor of Israel.
Right.
And not long after, the temple fell. But Jesus said the temple had to fall.
Yes.
That it had to be cast down, every stone.
Right.
And so, could the preterist be right? Not really.
No.
Because Jesus said the temple had to be cast down.
Right.
And it wasn't until after Nero.
That's right.
And there's always this, I mean, if you know enough about the Bible, you see patterns that return, right? It's a ever circular moment for us. And I think that is by design. Mm-hmm. I think that I think the Bible's just full of prophecy. Right? Even the narratives and the historical stuff, I think it's all just prophecy.
That's it.
So like when I read, for instance, when God says to Cain, sin is crouching at the door, it desires to have you, but you must master it. He's not telling him you might kill your brother.
Right.
He's saying you're going to kill your brother.
Right. You're going to sin.
Yeah. Here it comes.
Yep.
But he's giving us the benefit of the doubt of showing that he has foresight.
Right.
But the Bible is written from the perspective of majesty, meaning God is in control.
Right.
Right? So that gets into that, like, is God in control? But he is.
He is.
Yeah. So I'm a compatibilist.
Right.
Meaning God has given us the ability to make some decisions.
Right.
The shirt that I have on, God didn't put it on me. No. I put it on me. But he gave me the ability to put my shirt on.
I decided to brush my teeth.
Yes.
When God didn't have to tell me.
Yes. And so that fact is real. But I'm also a certain skin type in a certain place. I've been exposed to Christianity all my life because I was born into a place that harbors that worldview. Yeah. And that was not my choice.
No.
So there's a lot of things that say, yes, God is in control. Yeah. And then there's a couple things that go, oh man, I have some decision making that I get to make. And all it reminds me of is like an airplane captain.
Right.
Is it his plane And is he in control? Yes, it is. And are you on the plane, and can you sit in this seat or move to another aisle if nobody's there, or take a window seat if nobody's there? Can you go to sleep or stay awake? Can you drink too much or not drink? Can you have peanuts or not? Yes, you can. You can use the bathroom in the front, the middle, or the back. Right? But the captain is in control, and it's his plane.
Right.
So, you know, the earth is his.
Right. And
so are these bodies. We're going to meet him one day, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
Because we don't get to stay here forever.
Right.
So, was Nero the guy? Yeah. Kinda, you know? Right. But he did murder Paul.
Right.
And so, Hebrews, you know, this is probably Paul's crowning work.
Right.
I kind of lean there. And there's a lot of reasons for that. We just don't have the time to go through all of them. But, yeah, I'm going to say that this is around 68. I think I can agree with that. Right. Paul died in 67.
Right.
Right?
Right before he died.
Yeah. I really feel like that's the answer.
Right.
You know? Nero's persecution started in 64, and we already had these hints that Paul knew he wasn't going to make it, right? So, you know, Paul had the inclination that his life was not going to change. He was going to stay in prison, and the Roman authorities were eventually going to murder him.
Right.
And, you know, he got real serious about being that theological backbone of the church. And he wrote a good deal of epistles. And he kept discipling and training and sending out apostles, because apostolic works church to church. And it was Paul's great desire to continue to lead and teach and bring the people away from bad theology.
Right.
And his heart was for Jewish people. First to the synagogue, then to the square. Right? So, I mean, Paul all day long. Right. You know, I mean, do you have any objections to that? I don't.
No,
I mean, I
don't either.
I see this.
I see it as Paul matches up with a lot of his other writings as far as content and style.
And he loved his people.
Yes.
You know, he had a deep, deep love for his people. But the thing is, you know, I want to caution the listener that you shouldn't see yourself as different than Israel.
Right.
Because it's one new man. We just finished Titus. Right. Paul didn't see us as different than Israel. Because we're all united under the real administrator. This is greater than Moses.
Right.
Jesus is the high priest in the order of Melchizedek.
Right.
An ancient order.
Right.
And that ancient order...
long before the Levites.
That's right, yeah. And that ancient order encompasses all who know and believe God by faith.
Right.
The faith of Abraham.
Right.
Abraham was justified by faith.
Right.
So when I read
tie that in the New Testament, you're the priest of your home. We're a royal priesthood, a holy nation.
Yeah, 1,000%. And we're supposed to be great ambassadors for God to the world, despite their flesh.
Yes.
Who they are, what they believe, why they believe what they believe isn't important. It's who you are, what you believe, and why you believe what you believe.
Yes.
And it's important to go out and talk to people about it.
Oh, yeah.
To be that ambassador, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, your neighbor as yourself, and to give yourself up as Christ gave himself up for the called out ones. Right. Now, and you know, we confuse this, right? Like the ecclesia, we call it the church. It's not the church.
No.
The disciples were called out.
Right.
The people of Israel, the Hebrews, were called out of Egypt. Abraham was called out. Noah was called out.
Yes.
Job was called out, right?
Yes.
This is a long-running history of God's working.
Yes.
If you are the called out ones, this is your book.
Yes.
Now, do you understand it is the question.
That's the question.
and you wouldn't unless you understand the Old Testament.
Right.
That's why we're going back to move forward.
Yes. And just another caution, you're never going to understand it all.
No, it takes so to really understand the Old Testament, you probably need to learn a bit of Aramaic to get the Targums.
Right.
Hebrew to read the text,
Right.
Greek to read the Septuagint along with the Hebrew text and the Targums.
Yeah.
Because there's different nuances in languages,
Oh,
right? And then you have to have a bunch of historiocultural understandings, and then you have to understand how to properly interpret text.
Right.
Because ancient texts you don't treat like a newspaper.
No.
It's a whole science.
Right.
But that's why we have the body
Right.
of the Messiah, of Christ.
Right.
Because each of us can strengthen one another.
Right.
I could never be an expert in every part of the subject matter of what it takes to deal with ancient documents.
Yes.
But because the called out ones have different parts and different people who have different interests, together we can do amazing things. And that's what this podcast is all about. Right?
And God gives different people different skills.
1,000%. And we need each individual to help us become one healthy organism.
Yes.
And that organism is centered around the one King, Jesus. Right. Hebrews tells us and teaches us that Jesus is the King that's greater than all of the covenants before him.
Right.
That he was the true King of heaven. That when Israel was called out from Exodus, in the Exodus, and brought into the land, it was Jesus who was their King.
Right.
It was God.
Yes.
And that King was moving them toward this moment, where the first will be the last.
Right.
Israel is the first.
Right.
And they'll be the last to come into covenant with him. When they call out Baruch haba b'shem Adonai, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, they will recognize Jesus. And then they'll be united with us, Gentiles.
Right.
But with us, people of God.
Right.
There's no Jew, Gentile, Scythian,
people
slave.
of God.
Yeah. So, for me, it's all about breaking that artificial barrier down, just destroying it. It doesn't exist.
Might want to just give a quick definition of covenant. We've used that word.
Covenant. So it's an agreement. So when you get married, you make a covenant.
Right.
Right? And sickness and health and poor and So that's what it is. So in Jeremiah, and I love this about God, Abraham didn't make the covenant with God.
No.
God made the covenant with Abraham.
God
walked through the pieces.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
In Jeremiah, it's exactly the same.
Right.
God says, I will make a covenant with you.
Right.
Where I will put my law in your hearts, that you won't tell one another, know the Lord, but I will teach you myself. Right. And so, and too, we're going through numbers in YouTube right now.
Right.
And Eldad and Medad were not in the camp, and they started prophesying. Right. They were of the 70 elders.
Right.
And Moses said, would that all God's people have the Spirit and prophesy. That's a prophecy.
Yes.
And it speaks to the Jeremiah covenant.
Right.
And the Jeremiah covenant was given to Jewish people. Spoiler alert, right?
Yep.
So, but the thing is it just Jewish people? No. Because a bunch of Jewish people never honored the covenant.
Right.
Just like a bunch of us have never honored the covenant. So a covenant is an agreement that's made, in this case, by God with us through Jesus, which was ratified legally under the system of the Torah, the sacrificial system, but really under the order of Melchizedek, an ancient system, by the blood of the king.
Yes.
He poured himself out so that we could be made new. Yes. And the Spirit was sent following that. And the new covenant was enacted. Right. And he took the keys of death and hell, and now he's the ruler. And he's the one who brings life. Yes. And the earth is under his foot. Right. And one day he's going to make it right. Yes. But first, he's really nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Even with people who don't like him.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of God I want to serve.
Yes.
I don't want to be one who hears an angel in a cave and then kills people.
Right.
Not my bag.
No.
All right, so the dating of the epistle is best assigned to the period around 68 before the destruction of the Temple in Jerusalem. The recipients are second-generation Christians, which also may suggest a date a little earlier, 50 to 60, right? I feel like Paul was writing this.
Right.
And this is kind of like his capstone.
Right.
I'm going to go with a little bit later on this one. Hebrews is quoted in 1 Clement making it not later than AD 96, because that's when that was written. Right. So very early document.
Oh yeah.
End of the first century.
Right.
No, end of the second century.
End of the second century.
Yeah. Timothy, who is mentioned in Hebrews 13:23, was his son and right-hand man to Paul. If Pauline authorship is accepted, then the end can be no later than the death of Paul, AD 67.
Right.
The persecution of Christians in AD 64 may fit well with the context of Hebrews 12.
Right.
Hebrews indicates through the present tense of the Greek verb that the temple services were going on during the writing of the book. Although too much should not be made of the present tense alone. The nature, tone, and context of the epistle leads one to believe that temple services were still in operation.
Right.
Nerds nerd out about words.
Yeah.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Greek. I find it very interesting. But I'm not going to talk about it like that here. So the thing is this. I'd love doing my own translations, because sometimes I feel like translators are not fair, actually. Like, they have theological agendas.
Right.
But tenses of words. So Greek is not in the type of order, in its word order that we would imagine it to be in.
All.
And it's actually finds its meaning in context and form. Mm-hmm. So those arguments are there. So tense just means past, present, future. Right. So the tense in the word is now, like it's happening now. So that's what he was arguing there. The question of the location of the readers is wrapped in obscurity. The only place referenced in the epistle is found in the words, "They of Italy salute you."
Right.
The meaning is...
So we know they weren't in Italy, the recipients.
Yeah.
Based on that.
Yeah, exactly. Right? But who was? Paul. And what was he surrounded by? A group of people that were taking care of him.
Right.
Imprisonment for Paul, and in Roman imprisonment in general, they didn't provide you food, right?
No.
They gave you a guard and a room that you were going to stay in. And maybe like a square that you could go out. Right? So you had some basic amenities.
Right.
But somebody had to give you food and water and take care of the things around you. Otherwise you would starve, and they didn't care.
No.
Because you were in prison.
Right.
So Paul was surrounded by a people, the church, that loved him. Now, that being said, there's numerous places that were suggested. Jerusalem, Alexandria, Rome, Antioch, Caesarea, Colossae, Berea, Corinth, Thessalonica, Cyprus, Ephesus, Galatia, Lycaonia, and even Spain.
Basically anywhere in the Mediterranean.
Anywhere
world.
where Paul had touched his feet. Yes. It could have been written from. And the reason is this letter was just a widely circulated theological document.
Right.
And that's why I say it's kind of like the David of it, because if you were to pluck David's theology out of 1st, 2nd Samuel or the Psalms or whatever, like the Psalms particularly, it's great theology, but there's no location, time, place, Right. And it's because it's a theological work. Right? So it doesn't deal with the moment, it deals with bigger ideas.
Right.
And that's why I'm real certain that this is a Pauline theological work. So the identity of the first reader of Hebrews, like the author, is unknown. It's just a circulated document. Yeah. And that's fine.
Right. It was sent to more than one place, most likely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
passed around.
Of course, like all the other epistles and things, right? Like, the letter to the Corinthians, I'm sure didn't just stay in Corinth, right? I'm sure there were some Corinthians that went to Thessalonica and brought the letter, and they were like, the Corinthian church is struggling with this, and we just wanted you to know that Paul sent this to us, and all these letters ended up all over anyways, because there's multiple copies all over the place and kept in vaults now in these larger churches and things that entities that hold these documents for study. So this book is definitely one that was passed out, given around. It was probably originally circulated to church leaders, right, to the the deacons and priests, and what did they call them at the time? Elders. Yeah, the elders of the churches, right? So, I think it makes a whole bunch of sense to me that it was given to the leaders of mainly Jewish churches, right? But all the churches were mainly Jewish churches
Right.
at this time. All of them.
Right.
They started to change. And you know what the real problem is at first we were arguing not to be Judaizers.
Right.
Right? And that's what this is about, right?
Right.
This is about like tempering Jewish people.
Yes.
To accept these ones that don't
Right.
look like them because Jesus' covenant is bigger, greater,
Right.
and better. This is about a majority Jewish
Right.
organization.
Yes.
Is what it's really about.
Yes.
This points to a church that's not Gentile.
Right.
But later on, we swung so far away
Right.
that we don't even remember that baptism recalls the Exodus.
Right.
Right? We think that baptism, you go in and then you come up and you get the Spirit.
Right.
Because it's all we know about the
Right.
New Testament.
New Testament.
Right? But what it's really about is you remembering that God called out a people, took them through the waters, and became their protector.
Right.
He became their God. And so when you come up, you go, thank you that you've taken me through the waters.
Right.
I remember your story, that you're
Right.
the protector of your people. Right?
Right.
But we don't know that.
No.
Because we became the exact opposite. We became Gentilizers.
Right.
It's silly to me.
It's got to be a blend of the two.
Yeah, one new man.
One new
The
man.
book of Titus.
Yep.
You got Paul, a Pharisee, Timothy, a half-Jew, Titus, a Gentile.
Gentile, yeah.
I mean, the book of Titus is the perfect church.
Church.
Yeah. Okay, so you're a new believer in Jesus. This is how you want to read this, right? So you're a new believer in Jesus Christ. You were converted out of a conservative and strict sect of Second Temple Judaism.
Right.
A very cautious and fear-laden Judaism. You believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God. You are beginning... You know what Son of God is totally laden with meaning. Right? It's Daniel.
Yes.
It's the one who sits on the throne.
Right.
Oh, no, wait. Yeah, I'm sorry. Son of God is the rightful king.
Right.
Son of man is the one that has all the meaning to it.
Right.
So Son of God just means he's the king of the earth,
Right.
of Jerusalem. You are beginning to have some doubts about what direction to go because of the many problems and persecutions that you are enduring. Some of your community are turning back to Judaism. No, they're turning back to Second Temple Judaism.
Judaism, yes.
Because they're not turning away from Judaism.
No.
Jesus had Judaism.
Right.
They're turning away from Jesus' purified
Right.
Judaism and back to the Judaism of the synagogues
Of the
and
rabbis.
temple. Yeah. Forsaking the new faith that has come through Jesus, Jewish rabbis are speaking out more and more against him. They state that he was just another self-proclaimed Messiah.
Right.
You believe that he is Lord, but how does this form of religion relate to Judaism, which you were taught as a young child? So, exactly. Right? You were taught this form of Judaism.
Right.
Now you're being taught this form of Judaism.
Right.
And this is how the two relate. I mean, that's what this book is all about. So how does Jesus relate to Moses and Aaron? Should you still go up to the temple for sacrifices? There are many questions in your mind. You read so that you might understand the transition from Second Temple period Judaism to the purified Judaism of Jesus. And how does Jesus relate to the Old Testament and the Mosaic covenant? Right? And these are questions we have to answer for ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
This book is paramount to the church understanding our faith and where we come from. Where is the new faith going to lead you in pursuit of God? You read so that you might grow in the Christian faith and overcome the problems of sin in the world. What's the key verse on this one?
The key verse. In the past, God spoke to our forefathers through the prophets at many times and in various ways. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, and through whom he made the universe. The Son is radiance of God's glory and the exact representation of his being, sustaining all things, right hand of the Father in heaven. So he became as much superior to the angels as the name of the inherited is superior to theirs.
Yeah, and by angels it means messengers in
Right.
this case, right? So the previous messengers. So Jesus and the purified Judaism of Jesus are superior to the Judaism of the day.
Right.
In the Old Testament, offices and sacrifices.
Right.
Because it's the new covenant.
Right.
So the purpose is to set forth the superiority of Jesus,
Right.
to encourage the people to press on in maturity,
Right.
in spite of persecution, but also accept Gentiles.
Yes.
To warn them not to apostatize by turning back.
Right.
Right? So yeah, that's it. I mean, it's not complicated.
No.
And it's a great book.
Yes.
And it's one I think that most Christians read and don't understand because we don't know enough about the Old Testament.
Right.
I want to change that. I really want to change that. I pray for the
It's
listener.
the basis of the New Testament.
Well, at the time
And the
Jesus
context.
was here, there was no New Testament.
No.
Right. And let's be fair. The Torah, let's say, the law, the prophets, and the writings, and the New
Right.
Covenant. That's what it's
Right.
actually called.
Yes.
It's 4 different sets of collections of books, and each of those collections was given at various times, right? But, along a timeline.
Right.
And it's what you would call progressive
Right.
revelation. Meaning God was working in humanity, and we kept recording more of it, right? Was it super great? I'm going to say no. I think in Eden we saw God clearly,
Right.
but then we became afraid of him.
Right.
After we became afraid of him, we stopped seeing him clearly.
Right.
All the way up until Jesus, we saw him clearly, but we couldn't understand him.
Right.
But he still told us clearly what's real.
Right.
We can say that Jesus didn't teach things unclearly.
No.
And he did not teach violence.
Right.
He taught giving up yourself, that you have to give up your life. And if you look back at the Old Testament, those are the ones who were good with God,
Right.
who surrendered themselves
Right.
and became obedient and trusted God that he could supply everything that they needed.
Right. Yeah,
But-
Jesus said he could call down 10,000 angels and take over in a minute.
But he didn't need to.
Basically, he didn't need to.
Because he's got the long game.
Right.
And he wants to save you.
Right.
Right? Thanks for joining us. We've certainly appreciated you, and we love talking about this content. Please reach out to us, modernmindancientbook@gmail.com, or visit the site, modernmindancientbook.org. Like, comment, subscribe wherever you're listening. We certainly appreciate it. Share us with your friends. We would really appreciate that. We're trying to get the message out. We are going back to move forward. We're finding a love for the law, the prophets, and the writings. Thanks for joining me, Pete.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.